What happens when one of the world's biggest superstars sits down for what should be a routine interview, only to find herself facing a host determined to tear her down on live television? Today we're diving into the explosive moment when Jennifer Lopez walked off The View after Joy Behar pushed her too far. This isn't just another celebrity interview gone wrong. This is a masterclass in how personal vendettas can destroy professional boundaries. Before we get into this incredible story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling me which talk show host you think crosses the line most often. The morning started like any other at the View studio in New York City. Jennifer Lopez had arrived early, her usual professional demeanor intact, as she prepared for what her publicist had assured her would be a standard promotional interview. She was there to discuss her latest project, a heartfelt film about family and resilience that had been getting rave reviews. The makeup artist had just finished the final touches when Jennifer heard the familiar voices of the hosts warming up the audience. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the incredibly talented Jennifer Lopez." Whoopi Goldberg announced as Jennifer walked onto the set, her smile radiant despite the early hour. The audience erupted in applause, and for a moment, everything seemed perfect. "Jennifer, welcome back to The View," Whoopi continued warmly. "We're so excited to have you here to talk about your new film." "Thank you so much for having me," Jennifer replied, settling into her chair with the grace of someone who had done thousands of interviews. "I'm thrilled to be here." The other hosts, Sarah Haynes, Sunny Hostin, and Alyssa Farah Griffin, all greeted Jennifer with genuine enthusiasm. But as Jennifer's eyes swept across the table, she noticed Joy Behar sitting at the far end, arms crossed, wearing an expression that could only be described as hostile. "So Jennifer," Whoopi began, "tell us about this new project. I understand it's very personal to you." Jennifer's face lit up as she leaned forward slightly. "It really is, Whoopi. This film explores the complexities of family relationships, particularly between mothers and daughters. It's something I think so many people can relate to, regardless of their background." "The reviews have been incredible," Sarah chimed in enthusiastically. "Critics are calling it your best performance yet." "That means the world to me," Jennifer responded genuinely. "I've been acting for over 2 decades, and I still feel like I'm learning and growing with every role." From the corner of her eye, Jennifer noticed Joy shifting in her seat, and she could sense the tension building. Joy had been notably quiet during the opening pleasantries, which was unusual for someone known for her outspoken nature. "The film also deals with themes of perseverance," Sunny added. "Your character faces so many challenges but never gives up. Is that something you drew from your own experiences?" Jennifer nodded thoughtfully. "Absolutely. I think anyone who's built a career in entertainment knows what it's like to face rejection, criticism, and people who doubt you. But you have to believe in yourself and keep pushing forward." As if on cue, Joy finally spoke up, her voice cutting through the warm atmosphere like a knife. "Speaking of criticism, Jennifer, don't you think it's time you address the elephant in the room?" The studio fell silent. Jennifer's smile faltered slightly, but she maintained her composure. "I'm sorry. What elephant would that be, Joy?" Joy leaned forward, a smirk playing at the corners of her mouth. "Oh, come on. We're all adults here. I think our viewers deserve some honesty for once." Whoopi quickly interjected, sensing the shift in tone. "Joy, maybe we should focus on Jennifer's new film." But Joy wasn't deterred. "No, Whoopi, I think this is exactly what we should be talking about. Jennifer, you've built a career on reinventing yourself every few years. Some might say you've built a career on pretending to be something you're not." Jennifer's posture straightened, her media training kicking in. "I'm not sure I understand what you're getting at, Joy. Could you be more specific?" "Oh, I think you understand perfectly," Joy replied, her voice dripping with condescension. "Let's talk about authenticity, shall we? You started as a dancer from the Bronx, then became a singer, then an actress, then a fashion designer, then a businesswoman. At what point do you stop and ask yourself who you really are?" The other hosts exchanged uncomfortable glances. Sarah attempted to redirect the conversation. "Well, I think Jennifer's versatility is one of her greatest strengths." But Joy wasn't finished. "Versatility? Is that what we're calling it? Because from where I sit, it looks more like a calculated attempt to stay relevant at any cost. Jennifer took a deep breath, her voice remaining steady despite the obvious provocation. Joy, I've never hidden who I am or where I come from. I'm proud of my journey, and the fact that I've been able to explore different creative outlets. Different creative outlets? Joy repeated mockingly. Is that what you call dating a string of high-profile men to keep your name in the headlines? The audience gasped audibly. Whoopi's eyes widened in shock. Joy. That's completely inappropriate. Jennifer's hands gripped the arms of her chair, but her voice remained controlled. Excuse me? I think you're crossing a line here. Am I? Joy challenged. Because it seems to me like every time your career hits a rough patch, suddenly you're in a very public relationship with someone who can boost your profile. Ben Affleck, Alex Rodriguez, now Ben again. It's almost like a pattern, don't you think? The tension in the studio was palpable. Jennifer's jaw tightened, but she maintained eye contact with Joy. My personal relationships are exactly that personal, and I don't appreciate you reducing them to career moves. Oh, please, Joy scoffed. This is Hollywood we're talking about. Everything is a career move. The question is whether you're honest about it or whether you keep pretending it's all about love and fairy tales. Sonny tried to intervene. Joy, I really think we should move on. But Joy was just getting started. No, Sonny. I think our viewers deserve to hear some truth for once, instead of the usual polished publicity nonsense. Jennifer, let's talk about your music career. How many writers does it take to make a Jennifer Lopez song these days? Jennifer's composure was beginning to crack, her voice taking on a sharper edge. I've always been collaborative in my approach to music. That's how the industry works. Collaborative? Joy repeated with a laugh. That's a nice way of saying you don't actually write your own songs. Do you even sing on your own records anymore? Or is that all studio magic too? The question hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. Jennifer's eyes flashed with anger, but she took another deep breath before responding. Joy, I've been recording music for over 20 years, Jennifer said, her voice steady but with an unmistakable edge. I think my track record speaks for itself. Joy wasn't backing down. Does it, though? Because I've heard some interesting stories from people in the industry. Stories about vocal coaches having to work overtime, about pitch correction being used so heavily that engineers joke about it. The other hosts looked mortified. Alyssa finally spoke up. Joy, this is really uncalled for. Is it, Alyssa? Joy turned to face her colleague. We're journalists, aren't we? Or are we just here to ask softball questions and let celebrities sell us their latest projects? Jennifer leaned forward, her professionalism beginning to wear thin. Joy, if you have specific questions about my work, I'm happy to answer them. But personal attacks aren't journalism, they're just mean-spirited. Personal attacks? Joy laughed harshly. Jennifer, you've made a fortune selling yourself as this authentic, relatable person from the block. But let's be honest about what you really are. You're a brand. A carefully constructed, focus group-tested brand. That's enough, Jennifer said firmly. I came here to talk about my film, not to be ambushed. Ambushed? Joy's voice rose. This is a talk show, Jennifer. We talk about things. Real things. Not just the sanitized version your publicist wants us to hear. Whoopi tried once more to regain control. Joy, I really think we need to steer this conversation back to Jennifer's project. But Joy was on a roll now, her voice getting louder and more aggressive. No, Whoopi, I'm tired of these puff-piece interviews. Jennifer, let's talk about your business ventures. How many of your companies have actually been successful without your celebrity name attached to them? Jennifer's eyes narrowed. My businesses are successful because I work hard, and I'm involved in every aspect of them. Are you? Joy challenged. Or do you just show up for photo ops while other people do the actual work? Because that seems to be your pattern. Take credit for other people's talents, other people's hard work. The audience was completely silent now, sensing that something was about to break. Jennifer's hands were clenched in her lap, her knuckles white with tension. Joy, you clearly have some personal issue with me, Jennifer said, her voice dangerously quiet. But this isn't about journalism or serving your viewers. This is about you trying to tear me down on national television. Personal issue? Joy's voice dripped with fake innocence. I don't have a personal issue with you, Jennifer. I have an issue with the way you've manipulated the media and the public for decades. Manipulated? Jennifer's voice cracked slightly with incredulation. I've worked for everything I have. I've never asked for special treatment or shortcuts. Joy let out a bitter laugh. Never asked for shortcuts? Jennifer, your entire career has been one shortcut after another. You went from backup dancer to leading lady overnight. Most people spend years honing their craft. I did spend years honing my craft, Jennifer shot back, her composure finally starting to slip. I worked as a dancer. I took acting classes. I studied music. Just because my break came quickly doesn't mean I didn't earn it. Earned it? Joy's voice was now openly mocking. Jennifer, let's talk about some of those early roles. I've heard stories about casting couches and favors being exchanged. The studio erupted. Whoopi slammed her hand on the table. Joy, that is completely out of line. Jennifer stood up halfway out of her chair, her face flushed with anger. How dare you? How dare you imply something like that? I'm not implying anything, Joy said with a shrug. I'm just saying that in Hollywood, things aren't always what they seem. And your rise to fame was awfully convenient. Convenient? Jennifer was now standing fully, her voice shaking with rage. You think it was convenient to work 18-hour days? You think it was convenient to face rejection after rejection? You think it was convenient to have people like you constantly questioning whether I deserve my success? Sarah reached out toward Jennifer. Jennifer, please sit down. Joy doesn't speak for all of us. But Jennifer was beyond consolation now. No, Sarah. I think Joy has made herself perfectly clear. She thinks I'm a fraud. She thinks I'm a manipulator. And apparently she thinks I slept my way to the top. Joy crossed her arms defiantly. I think you're a product of a system that values image over substance. And I think it's about time someone called you out on it. Called me out? Jennifer's voice was incredulous. Joy, what have you ever created? What have you ever built? You sit behind this desk and tear down people who actually go out there and take risks. The barb hit its mark. Joy's face darkened. I've been in this business longer than you've been alive, little girl. I was interviewing presidents when you were still dancing in music videos. And what do you have to show for it? Jennifer fired back. A reputation for being cruel? For ambushing guests? For hiding behind the pretense of journalism while you indulge your personal vendettas? Joy stood up now too, her voice rising to match Jennifer's. Personal vendetta? You want to know what my personal vendetta is? It's against people who think they can buy their way into respect. It's against people who appropriate culture for profit while never acknowledging where they came from. Appropriate culture? Jennifer's voice was now shaking with fury. I am that culture, Joy. I'm a Puerto Rican woman from the Bronx who fought for every opportunity. Don't you dare lecture me about appropriation. Oh, please, Joy sneered. When it's convenient for your image, you're Jenny from the block. When you're trying to appeal to mainstream audiences, you're just Jennifer Lopez, international superstar. That's not appropriation, that's survival, Jennifer snapped. That's navigating an industry that wanted to put me in a box and keep me there. Joy's voice turned cold and calculating. And how did you navigate that industry, Jennifer? Did you ever have to compromise your values? Did you ever have to do things you weren't proud of to get ahead? The question hung in the air like poison. Jennifer stared at Joy for a long moment, her chest rising and falling with barely controlled anger. You know what, Joy? Jennifer said, her voice suddenly eerily calm. I've spent 25 years in this business dealing with people like you. People who think tearing others down makes them bigger. People who hide their own insecurities behind attacks on successful women. Successful women? Joy laughed harshly. Is that what you call yourself? Jennifer, you're a cautionary tale. You're what happens when talent takes a back seat to ambition. That was the breaking point. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears of rage, but her voice remained steady. I don't have to sit here and listen to this. I don't have to subject myself to your bitterness and your jealousy. Jealousy? Joy's voice cracked with incredulation. What exactly would I be jealous of? Your string of failed relationships? Your mediocre movies? Your auto-tuned music? Jennifer picked up her purse from beside her chair, her movements deliberate and controlled. I'm jealous of nothing about you, Joy. Nothing at all. The other hosts watched in stunned silence as Jennifer prepared to leave. Whoopi made one last attempt at damage control. Jennifer, please, Whoopi said desperately, standing up and reaching toward her guest. Don't let this end like this. We can talk through this. Jennifer turned to face Whoopi, her eyes blazing but her voice surprisingly gentle. Whoopi, I have nothing but respect for you. But I won't be disrespected on national television by someone who clearly has an agenda. Joy wasn't finished. Agenda? The only agenda I have is honesty, something you seem allergic to. Jennifer whipped around to face Joy one final time. Honesty? You want honesty, Joy? Here's some honesty for you. You're a bitter woman who's spent so many years tearing people down that you've forgotten how to build anything up. You hide behind this show and your so-called journalism, but what you really are is a bully. A bully? Joy's voice was shrill now. I'm asking legitimate questions that your PR team doesn't want asked. No, Jennifer said firmly, slinging her purse over her shoulder. You're asking loaded questions designed to humiliate me. There's a difference between journalism and character assassination, and you crossed that line the moment I sat down. Sunny stood up, trying to position herself between the two women. Jennifer, please don't leave. Joy, this has gone too far. But Joy wasn't backing down. Too far? Sunny. This is exactly what journalism should be. Holding celebrities accountable, instead of letting them control the narrative. Jennifer let out a laugh that held no humor. Accountable for what, Joy? For working hard? For being successful? For not fitting into whatever narrow definition you have of what a Latina woman should be? There it is, Joy said triumphantly. Playing the race card when you can't defend your actions. Jennifer's jaw dropped. Playing the race card? Joy, you've spent the last 20 minutes questioning everything about my identity, my talent, and my character. If that's not about race and gender, then what is it about? Alyssa finally found her voice. Joy, you need to stop. This is harassment. Joy turned on her colleague. Harassment? I'm doing my job, Alyssa. Maybe if more people in this industry did their jobs instead of being starstruck, we'd have some actual accountability. Your job is to interview guests, not to attack them, Sarah said firmly. Jennifer came here to promote her film, and you've turned this into a personal vendetta. It's not personal, Joy insisted, but her voice betrayed her. It's professional. Jennifer represents everything that's wrong with celebrity culture today. Jennifer shook her head in disbelief. I represent what's wrong with celebrity culture? Joy, I've used my platform to advocate for education, for healthcare, for immigrant rights. I've created jobs, I've supported charities, I've tried to be a positive role model. What exactly is wrong with that? It's all for show, Joy shot back. It's all part of the brand, the carefully crafted image of Jennifer Lopez, humanitarian. You know what, Joy? Jennifer said, taking a step toward the edge of the set. Even if everything I do is for show, even if it's all calculated and fake like you say, at least I'm trying to do something positive. At least I'm not sitting behind a desk tearing down other women for sport. Joy's face turned red. For sport? I've been fighting for women's rights since before you were born. Fighting for women's rights? Jennifer's voice rose again. Is that what you call this? Because from where I stand, you just spent 20 minutes trying to destroy a woman's reputation on live television. How exactly does that advance women's rights? The question seemed to hit Joy like a slap. For the first time in the interview, she was momentarily speechless. Jennifer continued, her voice gaining strength. You want to know what's really wrong with this industry, Joy? It's women like you who think the only way to prove their worth is by tearing down other women. It's the idea that there's only room for one successful woman at a time, so we have to fight each other instead of supporting each other. Don't lecture me about supporting women, Joy snapped, finding her voice again. I've been supporting women longer than you've been alive. Have you? Jennifer challenged. Because right now, on national television, You're doing everything you can to undermine a woman who's built a successful career. You're questioning my talent, my integrity, my personal relationships, even my identity. How is that supportive? Whoopi made one more desperate attempt to salvage the situation. Ladies, can we please just take a breath and try to find some common ground here? Jennifer turned to Whoopi with genuine sadness in her eyes. Whoopi, I came here with respect and professionalism. I answered every question honestly. But I won't stay here and be subjected to this kind of treatment. Joy wasn't finished. Treatment? Jennifer, this is what a real interview looks like. Not the softball questions you're used to from Entertainment Tonight. A real interview? Jennifer's voice was incredulous. Joy, you haven't asked me a single question about my work, my craft, or my experiences. You've just made accusations and personal attacks. Because your work speaks for itself, Joy said with a sneer. And what it says isn't very impressive. That was the final straw. Jennifer's composure completely shattered. You know what, Joy? You're right about one thing. This conversation does speak for itself. It shows exactly who you are as a person and as a professional. Jennifer turned to address the camera directly, her voice clear and strong despite her obvious emotion. To the viewers watching this, I want you to know that I came here today excited to talk about a project I'm passionate about. A film that celebrates family, resilience, and the strength of women. Instead, I've been subjected to a character assassination by someone who seems to have a personal vendetta against me. Joy tried to interrupt. Personal vendetta? I'm asking questions that need to be asked. Jennifer held up her hand to stop her. Joy, you've made your feelings about me perfectly clear. But I won't give you any more opportunities to tear me down for your own entertainment. She began walking toward the exit, her heels clicking authoritatively on the studio floor. The cameras followed her every step. Jennifer, wait! Sonny called out desperately. Jennifer paused at the edge of the set and turned back one final time. To my fans watching, I'm sorry you had to see this. You deserve better, and so do I. Joy couldn't resist one final shot. Running away when the questions get tough? That's very telling, Jennifer. Jennifer stopped in her tracks. Slowly, she turned around and walked back toward Joy's chair. The studio held its collective breath. You want to know what's telling, Joy? Jennifer said, her voice dangerously quiet. What's telling is that you've built a career on moments like this, on ambushing guests and creating controversy for ratings. What's telling is that you think this makes you a journalist instead of what you really are, which is a professional bully who's forgotten the difference between holding people accountable and just being cruel. Joy's mouth opened to respond, but Jennifer wasn't finished. I've spent 25 years in this industry, Joy. I've faced criticism, rejection, and people who doubted me. But I've never encountered someone who seemed to take such pleasure in trying to humiliate another person. I hope you're proud of yourself. With that, Jennifer turned and walked off the set for the final time, leaving behind a stunned studio and a host who, for once in her career, was completely speechless. The camera lingered on Joy's face as the reality of what had just happened sank in. The other hosts sat in uncomfortable silence, the weight of the moment hanging heavy in the air. What was supposed to be a routine celebrity interview had turned into one of the most explosive moments in daytime television history. And there you have it, the moment when Jennifer Lopez finally had enough and walked off The View after Joy Behar pushed her too far. This wasn't just a celebrity meltdown. This was a masterclass in how personal agendas can destroy professional boundaries and turn what should be a respectful interview into a character assassination. Joy's relentless attacks finally met their match in Jennifer's refusal to be a victim, resulting in one of the most dramatic walk-offs in talk show history. What do you think? Was Jennifer right to walk off? Or should she have stayed and fought back even harder? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe.